Huh. Well, there you are. I've been talking for about 15 minutes, but I forgot to push record. I'm not going to go back over all of it. I'm just not. But I guess I have to. I have to go back over some of it. So let me put you back in the camera holder. I would call it a tripod, but it's not a tripod, so why would I call it a tripod when it isn't? Dumbass. That wouldn't make any sense. We're going to do this again. I don't know if I'm framed up or not. I'm not going to do the 15-minute version though. I haven't posted a video in 2018. I've got a couple in the works, but I just haven't gotten around to it because I got kind of bored with the whole video thing, making the polished as they get, finished videos with the graphics and the edits and the music and the overlays and all that. I got kind of bored of doing that, and so I've decided to just do a raw version where I just turn the camera on and let it run. So the videos are going to be longer. They're going to be, for the most part, unedited, or maybe with just cuts here and there. So you're going to see warts and all, and when I say warts and all, I mean mainly you're going to see a lot of my fat ass, whereas before you haven't seen me on camera that much, or if they haven't, it's been a talking head. But you're going to see me moving around a lot more. But I'm just not going to, my video, at least, this might be the only one I make like this. This might be the only video, the long form, you know, raw video. This might be the only one I ever do. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be less instructional and more just you stopped by and hung out and watched what I was doing, you know. So that's what's going on here. And so, fuck the rest of the preamble. Let's get right to it. What am I working on today? Today I'm working on the CNC, and mostly what I'm doing on the CNC is I am finally, there, I'll do that. Mostly what I'm doing on the CNC is I'm finally addressing the problem of dust. Those of you who have a CNC and do woodworking, you know that dust coats everything. Well, those of you who do woodworking know that dust coats everything. And I hate it. I will not stand for it. The plan all along was to do something at some point to deal with the dust, but then I got involved in making things, and just dealing with the dust kept getting put on the back burner. Well, now I finally got the process for making the bases for my LED signs. I finally got that process pretty well down where I can churn those out consistently and pretty easily. Well, not easy, but I've got that dialed in for the most part. Although I just bought a 1/4 inch bit to replace, I've been using 1/8 and 1/16 inch bits to do the pocketing and the cutouts. And I finally decided to try a 1/4 because, well, the pockets on the inside of the base don't need to be that exact, and so I just went with a 1/4 so I can hog it out quicker and increase the speed and everything. But I'm taking a little break this week and probably this next week from making sign bases and whatnot to finally build an enclosure for the CNC to hopefully knock down or eliminate completely the dust in here. And also the dust that gets right around the bit as it's cutting. I don't want those small dust that gets all over everything in here, but I also need to get the dust out from there so I'm not cutting dust and sawdust and chips twice while I'm cutting new stuff. So I'm building an enclosure out of some, I bought a 4x8 sheet of Baltic birch plywood. Found a local cabinet shop that agreed to order me a sheet. But I didn't do my homework because every time I've ordered Baltic birch plywood, it's been by the little cut sheets off of Amazon or eBay, and I didn't realize there was a grade of those. There's 3B and 4B, every time I ordered one, it was just always 4B, which is the good stuff. And so I got this sheet, got them to order me the sheet. It was about $25. Great deal for a 4x8 sheet. But when I got it home, I realized that it was, well, I learned about the difference between 3B and 4B. 3B will not work, or 4B will not work. I forget now which one's better, 3B or 4B. I think 3B is better, maybe 4B, I forget. Either way, one of them's better, one of them I can't use. This one that I have the 4x8 sheet for, I can't use for my LED bases because the edges are exposed, and the edges, the outside on the lower grade looks nice, but the inside edges don't look nice, and I can't have that. Well, I could, but I'm not gonna, because the edges are exposed and finished, and I want them to look nice, so I need the better stuff. So I'm using this sheet now to build this enclosure. I've already got the bottom piece cut here. I think it's 24 by 18 wide. Next, I'm just going to build a box. So I'm going to cut a couple more sheets here, come to the top, the back, and I'm going to enclose everything except for the front here. For the front, I'll have a frame made out of this, but it'll be mostly clear plexiglass so I can see the work. And I'm probably going to attach it using neodymium magnets, so I can just, you know, when I'm ready to make the cut and start making chips or whatever, I can just click, put that in place. And the plan is to have that be as airtight as I can get it. It won't be airtight, but it's going to be pretty well sealed. And then I'm going to connect the vacuum through the wall. I'll set the vacuum out there on the other side to cut down on noise, and well, because there's no place for it in here, so I'll just cut a hole through the wall, put it on the other side there, and have the vacuum come into the back of the box here. And hopefully that vacuum, if it pulls out 50% of the stuff, that's a win, as long as it keeps the small stuff from circulating in here. And then I'll probably have a little air assist up here blowing right on the bit area to keep that clear. And I'll aim that so that it's blowing most of the chips towards the back, where hopefully the vacuum will pick them up. So that's what I'm doing now. I just made the first cut. I won't do any more cutting tonight. I'll probably do the most cutting tomorrow. Make the other ones, and I'm going to have the frame. I could just, you know, screw this together, and it would be solid enough because it doesn't have to do anything but support itself. But I decided not to put a frame on the inside because I want the insides as smooth as possible, because anything I put on the inside, it's just going to be a place for the dust to collect, the chips to collect. So I'm going to have the frame, I'm going to put a bit of a frame, but it's going to be on the outside. The frame's going to be on the outside of this, because I don't care what it looks on the outside, but I want the walls and everything smooth on the inside for a better airtight fit. And like I said, to keep the nooks and crannies down so that the dust doesn't have a place to go and then, you know, hide. So that's what I'm doing with the CNC this week. And I'm also again, I don't know how well I'm framed up or not. I'm going to have to work out a way to deal with that. Figuring out whether I'm framed up in the shot or not. But two other things I'm also working on this week, finally. Well, I've had these for a while. Pardon me while I straighten you out. Pardon me while I straighten you out, because you've been needing a good straightening out. I've had these little Wemos D1 mini boards. Ordered those a good while ago. There, can you see that? I don't know if it's in focus or not. I got the little ESP8266 chips on there. And so I finally got a couple of those in from AliExpress. I think they were $2 a piece, maybe $3. Very cheap. I finally got those in, and I've started playing with them. And so that's the other thing that I've been working on. Two power supplies here. So I had them in the house last night. I'm checking the range of them to see how well they transmit, to see if they're going to be up to the task. as they are, or if I'm going to need to go with the D1 Mini Pro that has an external antenna. So I'm still doing those tests. So I've loaded up the Start Here sketch, which simply tells it to go ahead and create a mesh network and to blink however number of nodes that each one of them finds. That's how many blinks you should get. There are 2 of them. They found each other, so I'll get 2 blinks or 2 pulses in sequence. So that lets you know they found one another. What happens when one loses power? The one on the left has gone away. Now the one on the right will continue to blink twice for a couple of seconds until it resets itself and realizes that one of them has gone away, and it'll start just blinking once. And now it's blinking just once, because it now realizes that it's all alone in this great big world. And so when I plug the other one in, it'll do its deal, and it'll start looking for others, and when it finds the other one, it'll start blinking twice, and the first one will start blinking twice, and they'll do it in unison again, because they found one another, and now they're both blinking twice. If I had 3 up here, all 3 of them would be blinking in unison, and they would all blink 3 times, because they found 3 of themselves. And so that's automatic. So this is painless mesh that I'm running on here. And so what I'm doing with that is, I wanted to screw on with some Wi-Fi stuff finally. So I tested those in the house last night. From my den over to Mom's bedroom, which is where one of them will be, Mom's bedroom on the floor, they would not see each other. And that's only about 50 feet, maybe 60 feet, but it's through 2 walls. These guys operate at 2.4 gigahertz, and it's my understanding that 2.4 gigahertz with these guys, which are fairly low power, they're very line of sight, so you should treat them as almost as though the signal is light. They can't see each other physically. They can't see each other. They're going to have a problem. So it wouldn't go through 2 walls. But then I left the one in my little den and then moved the one from Mom's bedroom into my bedroom, which is just down the hall, not quite as far away as hers, maybe probably 30 feet away, through one closed door, and it picked up. It saw both of them, but that's only through one closed door. Going to her bedroom, it was going through 2 walls. So it's kind of limited there. I can either order the D1 Mini Pros, which have an external antenna connection, which from what I've been reading improves reception and transmission a little bit, or I could simply put another one of these D1 Minis without an external antenna, put it on the wall of the kitchen, or basically put it about halfway between my den and her bedroom, and it would simply act as a repeater. It would join the mesh and act as a repeater, and so that would work. So probably the next order I do, I'll probably order a couple of D1 Mini Pros with antennas, and probably a couple more just D1 Minis like this without external antennas, and do some testing there to see how much the external antennas add to it, if they add enough to reliably go through 2 walls. And then I'll also do a test of just putting one of the D1s without an external antenna halfway between us and just let it act as a repeater. And I'll test that and see how that works. Now, to further bolster the fact that line of sight, they do pretty well, before I went in the house yesterday, I did testing of one out here. I had one sitting right here, powered up, and I took the other one and put it up on the carport, which is, I can see it straight out the window, line of sight through the window. But it's probably a good 100, 120 feet up to the carport, out in the free air. But with it hanging in the free air up there, and then the other one sitting right here, they would not see each other. Because the wall's in the way, and there's the window directly in between it. It's got the wire screen between it. So I left that one up there in the free air and moved this one just right outside the door here to the bay door, the garage door. I opened the garage door, and plugged it in right there by the garage door where it literally had line of sight to it, and the garage door was up, and they saw each other. So they can go the distance if they are line of sight with no walls or anything in between them. So that's all. That's also what I'm doing. I'm working on that. And the other thing, I'm asking for a lot of help with that. I've done that start here sketch that comes with it, where they automatically find and sync to each other. I've gotten that working because that comes with it. Comes with the download of the Painless Mesh Arduino software. Now, while I'm testing the range and what other models of those Wemos I need, Wemos units there. I'm also looking ahead to designing or programming, writing the program for what I'm going to need it to do, which is the whole purpose of this is I'm going to build a sensor / panic button kind of deal. It's going to have two purposes. One of these is going to be on the carport, and I'm going to have I was going to use a PIR. I'll either use a PIR sensor, or I'll use one of those new, they call it little radar boards. They're not actually radar, but they're pretty darn cool. I've got some around here somewhere. I'll use one of those boards. But basically I'll set it up as a sensor to detect when Mom's car pulls up on the driveway. Because whenever she pulls up on the driveway, I just like knowing where she is because she's 86 years old. So I like knowing when she's going up and down the steps or wherever, so I can kind of keep an eye on her because she's 86 years old. But also when she goes to get groceries on Friday, I like knowing when she's here so I can go out and help her get groceries so she doesn't have to go up and down the steps. I'll go out and hand them up to her, or if I'm in the house, she hands them up to me so she doesn't have to go up and down the steps. So I want a sensor out there that notifies all the nodes and notifies me wherever I am, whether I'm out here in the shop or I'm in there in my den. It notifies me that she's here on Fridays, or that somebody's on the carport. Then I also thought, well, if I'm going to do that, why not then go ahead and put one of those on her end table in there in the den where she spends most of her time, put one back there in her bedroom on the nightstand, and just put a button on there, and it'll be a panic button, which is basically so that if she's in her bedroom at night, I usually have the doors closed or I have the fan running or whatever, so I can't hear her. So if she's in distress in there or whatever, she can just hit that button and it'll alert me, so I'll know that, hey, she needs me to come to wherever she is. And also, if I'm out in the shop, it'll work out here too. So she'll have a button there on a nightstand on the end table, and I may put one in the kitchen, especially if I wind up putting one of these D1s on the kitchen wall to act as a repeater between my den and her bedroom. I may just go ahead and put a button on there too, so that if she's in the kitchen, she needs me, she can just hit the button. Right now, if I'm out in the shop and she needs me, she has to come out here. And so this will make it easier for her. And if I'm going to be building this mesh anyway, it's simple enough to add to the sketch to watch for a button press, and on a button press, send a message to all nodes that a button has been pressed. Which button has been pressed? Oh, it doesn't matter. I won't do that. I won't do which button. Because if I'm out here, I just know that, okay, go in the house. And if I'm in the house, okay, well, depending on the time of day, I'll know where she is, wherever she pushes the button. So we'll do that. Button press. We'll set off an LED and a buzzer on each of the receiver units, and then I'll probably have it set up so that it continues flashing and buzzing until I hit a reset button that cancels it. And so that's what I'm doing with the D1 minis for now, and the painless mesh and all that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do on the painless mesh or whatever I wind up using. I can do the painless mesh and let the Wemos, let the SP8266s create their own Wi-Fi network that doesn't need my Wi-Fi router. If they just create their own Wi-Fi network, so they're self-sufficient. Or I could set it up to where it does jump on my house Wi-Fi network, which could make it a little easier because then I could turn on the Wi-Fi out here and have the one out here join that Wi-Fi network. But then it is also connected via my links that's over here running Tomato firmware via a Yagi antenna to the AP in that house, because that's how I get my internet out here. So that may be the easiest way to do it, and that way all of them that are up there near the house jump on that house's Wi-Fi because it has a big antenna and has good coverage. So I haven't decided which way I'll go with that. I'll either go with them creating their own Wi-Fi network, and I'll probably try that first, and if that works well, then I'll just use that. And if that doesn't work so well, then I may try having them join my Wi-Fi network and try it that way. So that's the other thing I'm working on right now. And then the third and final thing I'm working on right now is I'm redoing I'm having to fix the intro to Clark LED. Yeah, the intro to Clark LED. So I'm working in Final Cut Pro to fix that. The main thing I'm doing is that file has gone missing. I'm going to replace that. So yeah, that's all I'm doing right now today. So there you go. That's what I'm working on today. And oh yeah, I know what else. I know what I'll do, by God. No, Doyle, no. Yes, Doyle, no. Yes. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Ah, there it is. I'm not going to tell you what movie that's from. If you don't know what movie that's from, then you're not as cool as I thought you were. And you should, work on that. Fix that. But another thing I've been doing, I wasn't really ready to start making them en masse or en masse. I wasn't ready to start making a lot of them for sale when the sales came around. But when the sales come around, you don't say no, you say yes, and you make the product and you sell it because it's money. But I wasn't ready. I hadn't had my technique down yet. But I've got the technique down pretty well now. I've got the pockets all happening. Well, I want them to. I got the cutouts for the USB. Got the cutout for the USB right there, working really well. I've actually got the engraving for my branding for ClarkLED.com. I had that already worked out pretty well, and then finally, Fusion 360 put out an update yesterday or sometime this week. I just got it yesterday, and they finally added single line fonts to the text feature in Sketch, so that's nice. And I saw where Winston Moy on his YouTube channel taught about how to add cross-hatching on your own in Fusion 360. I haven't tried that yet. I plan to do that because if I can do that, cross-hatching and the fill and the cross-hatching fill is the only reason I use Aspire, and I have to fire up VirtualBox in Windows 10 to use Aspire. And I like Aspire, it's fine. I just don't like having to fire up the VirtualBox and do the virtual machine to run Windows to run Aspire. if I can now do that cross-hatching and fill and whatever, if I can do it easily enough in Fusion 360, then I would like to stay in Fusion 360 because I've gotten pretty good with Fusion 360, and I can do Fusion 360 in here. I can do it in the house, and I like using one application if I can. I'm learning Adobe Illustrator more than I thought I would because I'm finally having to do vectors. I've been doing everything bitmaps my whole life on Photoshop, but Fusion 360 and Aspire want vectors, and if you're doing engravings, you want vectors because you want paths, because guess what? Paths become, you guessed it, tool paths. And in CNC, CAD and CAM, tool paths, it's all about tool paths. So I'm learning Adobe Illustrator, and so basically this video has turned into me telling you, look at me, look at all the cool stuff I'm learning how to do. What else is going on with me? Oh yeah, I'm still going to the VA. I've got to go to the VA again this Wednesday to have my blood drawn. I get my blood drawn every 2 weeks because they got me on warfarin, which is it's an anticoagulant, more commonly known as a blood thinner, but it doesn't thin your blood, it just makes it less clotty. Because I was diagnosed with AFib, arrhythmia, a couple months ago. And so that means that every now and then one part of your heart muscle it quivers instead of squeezes, and so some of the blood that it's supposed to be pumped out every cycle kind of backwashes and stays in there, and the fear is that if it stays in there it's going to want to clot, and clots in your blood become strokes. And so the warfarin is to make it less clotty. It's an anticoagulant. And so I've been going and getting my blood checked every 2 weeks because they want me, my INR, which is the number that reads how clotty your blood is. Normally on most people it's 1, 1.1, something like that. They want you at between 2 and 3, so you're less clotty. And so they have to put you on the drug and then monitor the dosage, check your blood every so often to get it dialed in. And I've been hovering right around 2. I'm guessing they want me to be like a solidly at like a 2.2, where I have a little buffer where I'll draw down. So anyway, I've been bleeding a little bit because of that, because it makes your blood less clotty. So I haven't had any nosebleeds, but I'll when I blow my nose now, there's usually a little bit red because I can see there's been a little bit of blood mixed in with it. And well, there are other ways you might see more blood in your day-to-day functions that I won't go into, but that's happening a little bit. So we're dialing that in, and I'm a little bit closer, I think, to finally getting this eye fixed, my left eye, which is, it's not worthless, but it looks bad. I can't read anything with this left eye. I could read a speed limit sign maybe if I was right up on it. That's how bad it is. 20/20 is perfect vision. They said this left eye is around 22,000. That's how bad it is. I was diagnosed May 22nd of last year with a cataract on my left eye that needed cataract surgery. It is now April 20th of the following year. Still haven't had the surgery. Delays. Now I've got a VA has scheduled me with a private place. Well, they're in the process of scheduling with a private place in Murfreesboro for a retina scan that my VA ophthalmologist wanted me to have, because he says the vision of my left eye is worse than the thickness of the cataract accounts for. So he's worried that, he says the cataract is causing some of it. He's worried that the cataract isn't the sole cause of the bad vision. And so he wants to do a retina scan, which the VA can't do. Well, they can't do as detailed one as someone else can, so I'm doing that. I talked to them the other day at Choice program, so hopefully that's going to get scheduled here in the next week or so. But it may be scheduled for a month out, according to how busy they are. So if that comes back and says no, the retina's fine, then hopefully my VA ophthalmologist will finally say, okay, I'm convinced now that it is just the cataract, so let's move on with the cataract surgery. So I hope we can get that left eye fixed, because it's bad. Imagine if you took Photoshop, for you graphics people or whatever, and you just take a snapshot of whatever you're looking at. Now duplicate that layer, drop the opacity, and then move it 20 pixels to the left. Then duplicate that layer, the opacity will already be dropped, and move that 20 pixels to the right of where it was originally. And so you'll have 3 images, and that's what I got over here, 3 images, and all of them blurry as shit. So, driving, if I close my right eye driving, if there was no traffic coming, I could keep it on the road. I'd get close to the right and I'd get close to the center line. But it's bad. And it's normally your brain, I've discovered, can ignore how bad one eye is. But and I was okay for a while, but it's gotten so bad now that my brain is having a hard time ignoring that side. And so I'm noticing sometimes now as I'm driving, my whole field of vision is getting bad because my brain is having a hard time ignoring that. When it does that, I have to just close my left eye, and then I'm fine with glasses on. But yeah, even with glasses on, the left eye is it's worthless. It's, you know, I'm sitting in front of the computer with just my left eye, I can't read anything on the screen. With just my right eye, I can read everything on the screen. And I'm not wearing glasses. Left eye, can't read anything. So anyway, what else? Let me look around. What else? What do you see in here that you have questions about? I know you got questions. I got answers, man. I got a lot of tuna fish cans. You're not curious as why I have so many damn tuna fish cans? Come on. Come on. You're not curious about all those tuna fish cans? Yes, you are. Go ahead and ask. Big man, black t-shirt. What's up with all the damn tuna fish cans? Well, I'll tell you. Since you asked, they are for the polyurethane. The polyurethane. They're good for holding polyurethane. I use polyurethane to finish my LED bases. And I mix my own. No thanks, I'll make my own. I mix my own using paint thinner and some leftover polyurethane I have left over from 10 years ago. And so I've mixed my own concoction up to that. I don't know, it's 50-50. I don't know what the mixture is now. But it's wipe-on. I made my own wipe-on poly. Works really well. And so I wanted a wide can, or wide something, wide and shallow, because I literally rub it on. I cut off a little piece of t-shirt, wad it up, and dip it in here and rub it on. Works really well. Wipe-on poly is the shit, man. So that's what's up with all the tuna cans. And no, it doesn't smell like tuna fish in here. They've all been cleaned out with boiling hot water. I didn't boil it, but it's really hot coming out of the tap. And so they don't smell like tuna fish. Yeah, maybe a little from... You have to stick your nose in there to even smell it. So it doesn't smell like tuna fish out here. So that's what's up with all the tuna fish cans. You nosy so-and-so. I don't think there's anything else I want to tell you about. I think that's enough for today, don't you? Later. Oh, here's one other thing. At some point, after I finish another can or two of tuna that I have, and after I finish some macaroni and cheese that I have, probably after Sunday dinner, probably Monday or so, I'm going to start a mono diet that's not going to be a mono diet because I plan on eating both potatoes and beans. But I'm going to try to do a mono diet, or a duo diet as it will, a binary diet, for 2 weeks, you know, to get rid of all cravings and get the salt, sugar craving out of my system, and to get bored with food, and to get used to food just being something that you have to eat, not something that you want to. Food is my drug. That's why I'm so big. Food is my drug. I drank heavily for a good part of my life. I've smoked a lot of weed back in my 20s, not so much in my 30s, hardly at all in my 30s and 40s. I've done coke, I've done acid, I've done Xanax, I've done X. I really liked coke, but it never became a problem. It never did. But I really liked it. When I did it, I did it. And I've got an addictive personality. None of those drugs has been as addictive to me as fucking food. Man. Food. Sweets, pasta, butter, cheese, meat, pizza, you name it. You know all the stuff. Candy bars. So, I'm 53. I'll be 54 in 6 months. I'm not trying to live longer. I don't have a family, don't have, kids, wife, any of that. I'm not trying to live longer, but I just want to live better whatever time I have left. Guys my size, and I'm not going to tell you what I weigh because it's embarrassing. I'm 6'4", but I weigh a lot more than you think I do. Guys my size don't live to be 60. You don't see guys my size 60 years old. You just don't. So that means I may have, of course I may drop dead 30 seconds from now. But realistically, because all the rest of my health is good. My cholesterol, I eat like shit. I eat as bad as I did when I was in my 20s. My cholesterol is fine. My blood sugar is fine. I'm not even pre-diabetic. My blood pressure is a little bit high, but they brought that down with some medicine, and so that's fine. My health is fine, except for all this extra weight I carry. And so I'm not trying to live longer. I want to live better because I can't stand up for more than a minute and a half at a time. If you're around me and I'm standing up and we're talking, at about the minute and a half mark, you're going to see me leaning on some stuff. And as we approach the 2-minute mark, the conversation's about to move to somewhere where I can sit down. Count on it. I'm going to walk away and I'm going to be sitting down if we're going to continue talking. And so there are things I want to do, not a lot, just things around here, projects that I want to do that I now, simple little projects, like putting these sensors out there, mounting one up on the carport. I have to plan every little project like that. Okay, I walk here and I have to sit down there for a while, and then I take all my tools with me. I have to plan that I'm working somewhere where I can work for a minute or two, literally 60 to 120 seconds. And then I have to sit down. So I have to plan. Everywhere I go, I have to plan it. So that's why I'm trying this. I'm not even going to call it a diet. I call it a mono diet because that's just what it is. It's your diet for that, but that's not, the mono diet isn't the thing. Is I'm trying to go vegan. I'm trying to get rid of salt, oil, sugar, SOS, and meat. Processed foods. I'm trying to just go whole vegetables, whole grains, nuts, fruit. That's what I'm trying to do. Because the VA, I think the VA said they would do gastric bypass. But man, gastric bypass is no joke. It's not just, I'll go in there and have a surgery and then I'll lose weight and everything's fine. No, gastric bypass is a major violation of the insides of your body, and It takes people a year or more to get kind of back to normal. And it's a big, hairy damn deal. So I'm going to try this first. So I'm going to start probably on Monday with potatoes and maybe some beans. And I'm going to try to do 2 weeks of just potatoes and beans, nothing else. And then after that, you can add in other vegetables and nuts, and then you go vegan. Other vegetables, nuts, fruits. And so we're going to give that a shot. May not work. No changing of my eating habits has ever worked long term. But like I said, I'm at the end now. I'm 53. At this weight, 60 is the most I could hope for. And maybe not even that. So this ride's almost over. Like I said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe there's an afterlife. I could be wrong. I'd love to hear more theists say that they think there is an afterlife and a God, but I could be wrong. But you won't hear theists say that. I'm an atheist. I don't believe there's an afterlife. I don't believe there's God. I don't believe there's a heaven or a hell. I believe if you're alive, you won the cosmic damn lottery. Because most things in this universe are not alive. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around. There's not a lot of life in this universe. So we come here, or we happen to be, born, and if we're lucky, we get 70 years. Some of us get 80. Some of us get 90. I'm looking at 60, maybe. So it's pretty close to being over for me. So I just want to be able to not hurt. And I want to be able to walk around and stand and not hurt. Because I hurt all the time. I just want to be able to not hurt the last few years I have left. Because there are things I want to do. So we're going to try that. And it will work or it will not. But it's me. It's all down to me. The odds are against me. But then the odds are against us all. That was profound. That's a good place to end this video, don't you think? See ya.